Last weekend, we held a gathering similar to this in San Antonio. And at dinner the night before, Esther was visiting with all of her wonderful staff who moves around with her. There were a lot of them at 2 tables, and they had a lot of conversations going, and it wasn't easy to even know everything that was going on. It was a very loud room with lots of reverberation, and so Esther was focusing and listening and focusing and listening. And one of the conversations that sort of went by that she sort of heard was a conversation about a particular bat cave in a tunnel not far from where she lives in Texas. And she just sort of heard it go by. She didn't acknowledge any interest in it whatsoever. She wasn't even trying to figure out where it was. She didn't think about it before or after. She only heard about it. But the next day, a friend asked her if she'd like to just go for a ride. And suddenly she's sitting in that parking lot with that sign of that bat cave. And she thought, you were nowhere near this conversation. Nobody talked to you about this. How did we end up at the bat cave? And we say, thoughts and bats are in the air. Thoughts are in the air. So we're wanting to remind Esther and all of you that a soft and gentle focus with no resistance produces nearly instantaneous results. A soft and gentle focus. We really want you to hear this. It's not the softness or the gentleness of the focus that gives you nearly instant manifestation. It's the absence of resistance. It's the absence of resistance. It's the absence of contradictory thought. You following? The reason that we are saying to you soft and gentle focus is because those things you really care about, you have ground them into the ground. And in the process, you've thought about them so much that you've introduced a lot of resistance to the process. So your introduction of resistance is the problem, which you usually don't do if it's soft and gentle focus. Now, it's way more fun to have strong, deliberate focus with no resistance, because then you've got all kinds of evidence and all kinds of momentum and all kinds of things showing up. So it's easier for you to think about a relationship relative to someone else than it is about yourself. And same for your friend. In other words, that's the reason that some of that crossover stuff is happening. And in your playfulness about it, we really do not believe. In fact, we know for sure that you don't believe that somebody else is creating in your reality. We don't think that that was a question that you were really asking at all. We think that the question that you were asking is, why does it appear to be that way? It isn't anything that I know to be. It isn't anything that I believe to be. And we want you to feel it's because there was a softer and a more gentle focus upon something that is important to you. And in the process of that, you lowered your resistance. And in the lowering of resistance, something that you want is flowing into your experience. These things that you want would be consistently giving you evidence in your experience if you were not consistently thinking about them in a way that will not let them in. And why do you consistently think about what you want in a way that doesn't let them in? Because you are so enamored with the reality of what is. What is contradicts what is becoming. If what is doesn't contain what you're asking for, can you see that? Your attention to what is a contradiction to what you want much of the time. If you want a boyfriend and you don't have a boyfriend and you're talking about a boyfriend and you're looking at what is, your attention to what is contradicting what you want and not letting it in. So something had to happen to make that a softer and gentler focus, or a conversation that had less resistance. When you start getting movement, it's because for some reason resistance is lower. When you stop getting movement, it's because for some reason resistance is higher. You've just got to pay attention to what you're thinking about, to how you're feeling, you see. And we're trying to get you to let yourself across the board have a big advantage by saying to you, what is old news. And if you could stop making so much reference to what is and to how it's been and to how long it's been there and to those things, then you would stop your conversations about resistance. In short, what we're really saying to you is you are offering a lot of conversation that is resistant in nature and you don't even know you're doing it. But you know how to know you're doing it? If what you want isn't coming. if you're not getting movement on something, it always means the same thing. You've got resistant conversation going on, and when you cut that out, you'll get movement. So anytime that you can be more playful. Esther was talking to someone the other day who was struggling with finances. And Esther talked about a game that we offered that's called the columnar pad. It's in the back of the Ask and It Is Given book. And it's a process where you just make a list of everything that you owe month by month, with the largest payment being on the far left column and the smallest payment being on the far right column. And as you get it all laid out where you can see it, where you're acknowledging it, and then you make a statement to yourself. I keep my word to all of my responsibilities, all my creditors. And in some cases, I do twice as much as I'm expected to do. So then that smallest payment over there, $12 or whatever it is, pay it twice this month. And feel the relief of having said you would do something and doing it. And then watch, and you will see it, that, and here's the key word, because you have turned finances into a game instead of a responsibility, your energy will shift. And just the fact that you're now playing a game means you're going to let more money in than you were before. And when the money comes, you're going to whittle away those columns until you have less going out. And what you will notice is more money will begin to come. It will come from places that you didn't even know it was stuck in your vibrational craw. More will begin to come. All kinds of money things will begin loosening up. Things like you were describing. Gifts will be given to you. Advantages will be given to you. Debts will be forgiven. All kinds of things. Your outgo will become less. Your income will become more, because you've been asking for it for a long time, and it's all in the pipeline. It's all in the works. And just the simple act of playing a game about money, instead of feeling that uncomfortable feeling when you get your mail from your mailbox, or that feeling of not wanting to open it because you don't want to face it, you will have shifted the way you feel about it. And this is what we're talking about here. Anything that causes you to shift the way you feel about what is happening in your present life experience will allow your present life experience to morph into more of what you have been asking for. It's powerful. And so it's really fun as you more deliberately think about things and they manifest in your experience, or they show up in one way or another. How often do you say to someone, I can't believe it, I was just talking about that, haven't thought about that in 10 years, was just talking about it yesterday, and here we're having the conversation about it again. Well, that's not coincidence, that's not chance, that's not a lucky thing. That's thoughts are in the air. That's thoughts are in the air, and you're in the receptive mode. And the same way that you received that thought and then you received that experience, anything and everything that you care about is coming to you in the same way, you see. So it's all good. It's all good. The more you acknowledge the positive aspects of what's coming to you, the more of them will come. Did we get there for you?
Yes, thank you so much.
Something more?
No, it's amazing. Thank you so much.